Welcome back to KSP at Astra. Today we're getting some boots on Minmus, and we're also having some incredible launches today. And I can't wait for you guys to see it. But first, I have to ask you to, hit a like, hit a share, maybe even hit subscribe. I'll even take a dislike, to be completely honest. And I would love to hear some comments from you for the sake of engagement. But we have to get things started with Astra 9. It's being launched on a Phoenix 2, and its destination is Aurora Station, which is currently in a polar orbit. Now, for some reason, I accidentally entered in the wrong direction when I was doing the altitude distance, so we ended up getting a pretty vertical launch, which ended up wasting a lot of delta V for us. But that's fine. This thing is more than enough basically range when it comes to delta V, and I even had to dodge the little the cap right there. But as you can see on the right side, we have our booster landing in the ocean, perfectly safe and sound. But first, I do have to say, look at how good Black Rack's clouds are. Yes, I finally have volumetric clouds. You may have been able to see them in the last video. I'm not entirely certain, but my god, do they look spectacular. Alright, well, here's our first stage, getting ready for its approach with Aurora Station, and there's just going to be some fantastic visuals coming up. I mean, just insane. I absolutely love the state of visual mods in KSP. I mean, look at that. That is like actually beautiful. Like, thank God for Black Rack. He's really making this game a beautiful game. Now, here we are coming in close on the station. Now, this isn't going to be a particularly big thing. We're just stocking the station, making sure it is kept up to date, have kerbals on board. This is actually fulfilling a contract right now, which we need for lots of money. And, that money is good because it helps us launch even more ambitious missions like our Duna mission. And one of our more impressive missions in the next episode, thankfully. Well, it's not particularly impressive. It's just a probe to Eve, but we're not focusing on that today. Today we're focusing on the fact that we are currently on our way about to dock with Aurora Station. Now, my main purpose for Aurora Station is so that it's constantly covering basically any part of the planet at any time, and that it can be launched in a pretty much it can be things can be launched to it only at specific times. And I don't really know why I did that, but I thought it would be pretty cool to have a station in a polar orbit. That's pretty much it. I just wanted a polar orbit station, and I think it's cool to have one. Now, here we are coming in pretty close. We're still about 1,000 meters out, and we're just going to be very quickly just speeding up the time warp here. And this is when I start to remember that, hey, we just had Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates Christmas. And on recording, today is the first day of Hanukkah and the first day of Kwanzaa. Is it a first day of Kwanzaa, or is there just one day of Kwanzaa? Because I know it has like a candle stick, kind of like a menorah, but there's like 12 candles. I'm not entirely certain. I'm not very knowledgeable on Kwanzaa. But today's the first day of Hanukkah, so happy Hanukkah and happy Kwanzaa. I hope everything's going well, and a lot of people will probably be seeing this after the New Year. So, happy New Year. Alright, now here we are. We're coming in close to dock with the station. As you can see, our little extra supply module over there on the side does need to be restocked soon. So we need to be sending that back in a coming episode and sending a new one out. And I think that is a good mission for next episode. And here we go. That is a perfect docking procedure. And we just got to make sure that we have warning set up so that we know when to bring them down. Because that is important, or they'll get a little stir crazy up there, and they will cause issues, like accidentally venting all of the air inside of the station, which is a thing that can happen. Alright, well, that's pretty much it for this mission, but what's really cool is what we're going to be doing in the next mission. Now, nothing's going to get done with the next mission, but I mean, it's not an unimpressive mission. It's just that, like, there's nothing to do about it right now, and actually, we'll be actually doing something about it in the next couple of days. So, here we are. Jupiter 1 is currently in interplanetary space. Now, this is why it's not particularly cool. Like, nothing's really happening, and it's because, well, yeah, we're just doing a correction burn, but that's fine because, well, it's in service of what we need to do. And it's a cool looking craft. I think I really cooked with this one. I just like the fact that it has such an imposing presence for a probe, and the fact that it has such high delta V, so it really allow us to, you know, circle all of those moons. And look at that. Now I'm plotting my my next maneuver, which will be in a few Kerbal days. Now, I have noticed something in the past couple of days. My time is messed up, so it actually views time way differently. It views it in 365, like 24-hour time, but that's not how Kerbals view time. They view it in like 4.5-hour days. But yeah, here's Astra 11 flying on a Phoenix 2. And I also found out that I've been misspelling Phoenix in a lot of these recent episodes. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But anyway, this mission is actually ferrying a tourist on board. Now, this tourist needs to go to Odin Station and needs to be there for 4 hours. And we also have a contract to have one of our other Kerbals be on Odin Station, one of our normal Kerbals, just to dock with Odin Station. So that is pretty good. That gets us a lot of science, and we can just stop by Odin Station, make sure everything's going on. We don't exactly have Kerbals to spare at the moment because, you know, a lot of our Kerbals are still in orbit of Duna. So, you know, yeah, we can't really do much. But here is our upper stage returning, or not our upper stage, our lower stage returning from orbit, or from its orbital suborbital trajectory, and being recovered, making sure we do not lose those funds. Now here's our second stage. It is basically primed and ready to go straight out into the medium orbits of Kerbin. And yep, there we go. We're going to extend our little maneuver node there until we get a pretty close encounter of almost about 2 kilometers. And so here we go. We're going to fast forward our time warp till we get to the perfect time to launch it. And then we are going to shoot out in that direction with our nice, perfectly beautiful blue engine plumes. All right. There we go. We are off on our way to Duna Station. Or not Duna. I keep saying Duna. To Odin Station. Now, we're basically just going to shoot out there. We're going to encounter the station, and we're going to basically, relative to the space station, arrest our momentum. But it's not. We're actually building speed. But it's fine. But now we are getting closer to the station. And then we're going to turn around and actually slow ourselves down. And once we do so, we should probably disconnect our lower stage here. There we go. We're coming in close. You can see it in the corner. I have to launch that off, the little thing that helps us be more aerodynamic. And there we go. Our upper stage is ready to dock with the station. Now, here we go, going over and down, and get out the docking camera so we can see what the Kerbals are seeing. And there we go. There is our docking port that we must hit. and we will move in the direction of the docking port very soon. And there we go, we have docked. All right, so our kerbals are there, and now we have to fast forward about 4 hours. Now this is 4 very messed up hours. Or actually no, it's just normal 4 hours. But we're going to basically give our tourist kerbal his 4 hours to basically do whatever he needs to do. And I'd like to just think that he's doing a very specific type of research, or he's like Yusaka Maezawa and just going there for some reason to do backflips, I think, on this space station. And then we're gonna go home, and we actually rocket off into the distance fairly quickly, and we are getting our distance down to the surface about as low, or about, we're getting a deorbit about as soon as possible. We disconnected our lower stage right there. Honestly, we could have waited, but I wanted to do it. And we are currently stuck. And there we go. We are going to hit the surface, not the surface, the atmosphere very soon. There we are. We are currently burning through it. There's our lower stage shooting past us, getting very hot and probably just disintegrating. But here we are, our heat shield absolutely protecting us as we go through the atmosphere. Now we popped our chutes, and we are going to descend into the ground through the clouds and outside of the city. Yeah. All right. But that is it for this mission, and that means we can use these kerbals for a very important coming mission. The mission that will finally get us boots on Minmus. Here we go with Khonshu 2 on a Phoenix 2. Now, it is named after Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon, most famously in the show Moon Knight. Yeah. I explained it better in the last one, but yeah, Moon Knight. Moon Knight's a good show. Watch it. But anyway, here we are, currently zipping up into the upper atmosphere, just absolutely rocketing out of the atmosphere on an actual rocket. That would make sense. But here we go. We are going to do our gravity turn, and we are going to stage, and we are going to basically get ourselves in an orbit, just like how we have been this entire episode. And this will give me some time to explain our design as our upper stage descends through the atmosphere and next to multiple thunderstorms. So basically, our command capsule is up at the top of the lander. And then we have a hitchhiker, like a hitchhiker container or whatever it's called. And that'll allow us to basically house multiple kerbals inside of it and kind of keep our space up high rather than like a low interior volume. And that'll keep our kerbals happy. And I just thought that this view right here is beautiful. Look at that. And our rocket lands safely in the water. But yeah. So I also included 6 legs just because I didn't want too much rocking on the surface of Minmus if we went out there. And then I also included a fair bit of life support stuff. Now, it doesn't have a life support system. It just has supplies for the, just to keep them alive. And that's because we're basically just going straight to Minmus and then we're coming straight back. Now, if we were doing a more long-term mission to Minmus, I would actually rethink having that few supplies on board. Now, here we are basically getting ready to fly all the way out to Minmus and basically encounter the moon, or the moon Minmus, and the orbit. There we go. I did not bring any specific experiments on board. I didn't really think about it, to be completely honest. I accidentally goofed there. But, I mean, it kind of fits. It kind of fits that we're just doing this specific mission to get boots on ground. And actually, in the future, this helped us unlock a specific tech node so we can find where the fuel is on Minmus. And once we know where the fuel is on Minmus, we'll be able to start mining the fuel there on Minmus. And that'll give us a permanent outpost on Minmus that actually does something. And it'll be the first permanent outpost that actually does something in our entire solar system. Like, I know the Mun one is a permanent outpost, but it's kind of a joke right now. It needs a bit. I think we'll find some materials where it is. We just need to figure out what's going on. So here we are. We're getting out Billy Smith. Billy Smith is going to plant our flag and complete our contract for planting a flag on Minmus. And look at him go. Boots on Minmus for the first time. And there we go. He has written his thing, dedicated it, and flown around. He did the little experiments, and now we will do basically just store all of the experiments inside of the command module, and then we'll move our scientist out. I believe Edith. I think that's Edith. We're basically going to move our scientist out, do the job that scientists need to do, and then we're going to lift off from the surface and we're going to go back home. It was a very short trip, but life supplies are kind of low, and that did net us like a bunch of science that we kind of needed, but not a whole lot. It just kind of helped. So here we are. We're going to go back home. And that will be our first trip to Minmus for the time being. Or our first boots on ground trip to Minmus for the time being. And then in the next episode, I think, we'll be sending out a survey satellite to actually see where stuff is on Minmus. And then we can actually do some more cool missions on Minmus. Yeah. All right, but there we go. Deorbiting, and we are going to basically go as fast as we can to get back home to Kerbin and keep our Kerbals as safe as possible. But not really, because this is Kerbal Space Program. They're gonna get very toasty. All right, so Khonshu 2 is basically just hurtling back towards the surface, and we will be ending this mission very shortly. And yeah, very shortly. This did get me a little bit worried because of just how hot the hitchhiker module got, so I made sure to move them out of the hitchhiker module, which is probably not where they should have been. And then our center of mass kind of went off to the side, which was even scarier. Yeah, thank God we have parachutes and lots of them. And we will be landing in the water nice and safely. And there we go. There we go. Splashdown. They are safe. Now, for the final one of the final launch this episode, we have Mesos Lab, which is a lab for our Kerbals for the Mesos station. This is part of a contract from Duna 1, hilariously. And they are basically going up there to... It's going to be just a science lab. I'm putting a science lab in orbit around Duna, or around the Mun. And it will basically just be there to do science that we don't really need for really any reason. This mission just, I'm not joking you, it just gives us a lot of funds, which is the main reason why I do it. And I think that every single one of these stations that we build should have a science lab on board. But there we go. The first stage is currently re-entering while the second stage performs our orbital insertion burn. And here we go. We're going to zoom in on the first stage coming down at a very, very quick speed, quite near to a city. It looks like it's going to hit trees. And there's our rocket landing in the trees. And we were able to recover it by the grace of God. And here we go. We are going to send ourselves out to the Mun. And we will be able to dock this spacecraft to Metzli Station. Which, if you didn't know, Metzli Station is named after the Aztec god of the moon, Metzli. Just if you wanted to know. We have multiple gods of the moons being mentioned here. Both from civilizations that are relatively pyramid-like, famous for their pyramids. Interesting. Illuminati. Yeah. Anyway, here we are, sending it out, trying to get our best attempt at a encounter, but we just aren't getting it this pass. So we're gonna have to get it about as close as possible. We're just gonna get into orbit and then make sure that we have a, just like a slightly different orbit, so we can just like make our encounter pretty easy. But here we go. We are flying out to the moon, and we're going to perform our capture burn right here. There we go. We are now captured around the Mun, and now we can actually make our encounter burn. Now, let's do that real quick, and there we go. We are going to encounter the craft, and I decided to point it at the screen, and it just gave us a big old flash. That wasn't an encounter burn. That was a burn to get us on the same inclination. It was an inclination change burn. But there we go. That's our encounter right there. Just fine-tuned it just enough, and we will be on our way to Metzli Station. All right, here we go. Just a small little burn. There we go. That was a very quick burn. And now we are basically in line with the station. We can even see the station from here. So let's just keep it on screen so that we can watch as we get even closer and closer and closer to it, as we are getting closer and closer to the surface of the Mun. And here we are encountering the station and slowing down our momentum to go about as slow as possible. And then we need to get as close as possible to the station. Now we are ditching our stage back there so that it does not come within a close distance of the station, because it could just hit the station at some point, which would not be good. So we're going to leave it way out over there and on a weird orbit so that it's very unlikely for it to ever hit the station. Now I've opened up a docking alignment indicator so that I can figure out how to dock with the station. Now this is just to a random docking port. This is not to the docking port that we will eventually be docked to, but it is just to help serve as a reference to get us as close as possible to the station before I can change over to the correct docking port. So here we are, just getting about as close as we can. Now, we did end up coming a little bit far away for RCS thrusters alone. That is okay. I have more than enough confidence that this thing was able to do it, and it was, which is great. Now, I also wanted to address the fact that the second stages. You haven't seen me recover any of these stages, but I did recover every single second stage from this episode off camera. I just forgot to record them, and it was kind of tedious because I just went out there and just started cleaning them all up, just deorbiting them all at the same time. So yeah, it was a little bit tedious, and it just really wasn't worth the watch. But I guess that this docking right here is probably also not that much worth the watch. But it's fine, I guess. Anyway, here's us picking our docking port that we want to hit. It's just slightly off, so I have to just slightly change the direction that we're going. And there we go. We are going to be very quickly lining up with the docking port, and that will help mark our end of today's episode. So I did want to say thank you guys for basically tuning into all of these episodes as of right now. And if you have made it this far, maybe even check out my Patreon, which is in the description below. The Patreon perks are access to special roles on my Discord, as well as being able to send me contracts that you would like to be that you would like me to complete in this game, as well as a kerbal with your name. So, or any name that you choose. So yeah, I think that's pretty good, and thank you guys so much. And if you made it this far, please insert a comment with just like the emoji of a rocket. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if you made it this far. I'd like to see which of you guys have made it this far. Make it like you guys are the cool ones. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, goodbye. And have a good day, have a good New Year, and I hope you had a good Christmas and a good Hanukkah.